Hello everyone, Leonard Ulrich here with another short YouTube video update in regards to the New World Order financial situation. First off, what has been happening over the past 3 weeks and what has the progress been on Volume 2? Well, over the past 3 weeks I've edited, recorded, and mastered and duplicated not one but 2 weddings, all for money to go into Volume 2. And also I've recorded, edited, mastered, and uploaded my parents' wedding anniversary. So I've been just a little bit busy. And on top of that, for the past 4 weeks really at work, we've had 60-hour work weeks because at the kitchen cabinet factory where I work, everyone wants their kitchen before the start of the fall season when everyone is back at work and back at school. About a month ago, I was a little bit ticked off at being so busy at work, but now I consider it a blessing, and you'll see why as we get right down to business in this video, which I'd like to call Are You Ready? And there are reasons for the title. First off, what has been happening in the world economically over the past month or so? Well, the headline is really what's happening in China. The fact is that the Chinese stock market is tanking. As a matter of fact, global trade is in free fall. The container freight rates from Asia to Europe have crashed by 60% in the past 3 weeks. Now, that's not just an isolated report. That is a symptom of the illusion of Chinese economic growth. China's economic growth for the past decade or so has been based on overconstruction. The Chinese Communist government has kept everyone happy by building entire cities where no one lives. So Chinese economic growth is really an illusion, along with America's economic growth. And let's get right into that. First off, the markets went insane on Monday, August 24th. I'm referring to the Dow Jones Industrial Average in New York. Dow futures moved 4,500 points in the span of 1 day alone. Now, this is unprecedented. Never seen half of this before. Then, when they reopened after being frozen for a period of time, there were over 4,500 other crash events with constant halts and unhalts. When you graph it out, it looks like Thor's hammer crushed the markets to a pulp. But that was yesterday. What about today? Everything is fine, right? No, everything is not fine. The President's Working Group on Financial Markets, otherwise known as the Plunge Protection Team, did not stop the Dow Jones Industrial Average from tanking during the last quarter today. I'm recording this, by the way, on Tuesday, August 25th, 2015. What has been happening in China for the past 3 months is coming to America. The Chinese stock market is down about 60% from its highs earlier this year. The Chinese government is so desperate as to censor negative talk about the Chinese stock exchange and threaten institutional or large sellers of Chinese stock with jail time if they choose to sell large volumes of Chinese stocks. In other words, you can put your money into the market, but you can't get it out. And that is coming to America. Your pension funds are invested in the stock market. The company that you work for is probably owned by a parent company which is invested in the stock market. Your insurance plans are invested in the stock market. And your social security plans, in other words, not only your pension funds, but your healthcare, etc., is all invested in the stock market. And when there is a systematic global tanking of the stock markets around the world, the fact is that you are not going to get the money that you paid into all your life when you need it. So much money has been pumped into the world stock exchanges, which are entirely fraudulent. It's really a big club which bets on other people's money, your money, that today the Bank of England admitted that financial markets aren't real. Check this out. From the Bank of England website today, we read the following: building real markets for the good of the people. In order for markets to regain their social license, it is vital that public authorities and private market participants work together to reverse the tide of ethical drift. This cannot be a one-off exercise and needs continuous engagement so that market infrastructure keeps pace with market innovation. Wow, I could unpack that statement for about 5 minutes, but I'll leave you with 2 clips just to give you a taste of what's coming in Volume 2.
The people who were coming to us for risk in the housing market wanted to have a security that gave them exposure to the housing market, and that's what they got. The unfortunate thing, and it's unfortunate, but it doesn't, is that the housing market went south very quickly after some of these securities, not all of them, because some of them were done early, but they went, and so people lost money in it, but the security itself delivered the specific exposure that the client wanted to have.
You don't believe it's relevant to a customer of yours that you are selling a security to, that you are betting against that same security. You just don't think it's relevant and needs to be disclosed. Is that the bottom line?
Yes, and the people who are selling it in our firm wouldn't even know what the firm's position is.
You are taking a position against the very security that you are selling, and you are not troubled.
Senator, as again...
And you want people to trust you.
Senator, I think people...
Why would
trust
people...
us.
I won't trust you. If you came to me and wanted to sell me securities, and you didn't tell me that you have a bet against that same security,
Senator,
you don't think that affects my thinking?
Has there ever been a time when Goldman's investment advisors bought securities from Goldman for a client, and at the same time, Goldman was simultaneously shorting it?
I have to explain. See, this is a problem. As a market maker, we are making buying and selling 1,000 times a minute. Of course, probably you could call it a casino, but if it is, it's a very socially important casino.
Here's a problem all over the world. Despite the plunge, company valuations are still at extreme. In other words, the book value of the company isn't really what it's worth. This situation with the global prices of everything except food being so far down is really bad for America, and that's in particular when it comes to the price of oil. Yesterday, oil hit an all-time low, a multi-year low, of $38 a barrel. If you draw a line between, say, the $100 per barrel price of oil and $40 per barrel price of oil, that's a 60% difference in the amount of dollars, US dollars, going around the world in circulation, creating a demand for US dollars. That's huge because oil is the lifeblood of the global economy. So when there's 60% less demand for US dollars to settle trade in global oil markets, well, that's bad for America. And in fact, John Skull and Bones Kerry actually told the truth recently on international television when he said that the Iranian nuclear deal is really about the US dollar.
I went to China. We persuaded China, don't buy more oil. We persuaded India and other countries to step back. Can you imagine trying to sanction them after persuading them to put in place sanctions to bring Iran to the negotiating table? And when they have not only come to the table, but they made a deal, we turn around and nix the deal and then tell them you're going to have to obey our rules on the sanctions anyway. That is a recipe very quickly, my friends, business people here, for the American dollar to cease to be the reserve currency of the world.
We are now in a global economic period of deflation. You can liken the flow of money to the flow of water. And just before a traumatic event like a tsunami, the tide goes out. The global economy contracts. And that is a very dangerous period in time, because the world's central bankers typically respond 99% of the time and do what they've always done, which is print money like mad. That's the only thing they can do. It's the only thing that they know how to do. But the problem for you and me is that every dollar that the central bankers print means that every dollar in circulation is worth less. If you notice, the price of everything that you really need, like food, which has a constant demand, relatively speaking, is going up, but the price of things that you need less, like gas, you can drive less, is going down. So, just before the tsunami of hyperinflation affects us all, I'm looking for 3 specific signs: a short-term sign, medium-term sign, and a long-term sign. And those 3 signs are as follows. In the short term, I expect the price of gold and silver to decrease, but that is irrelevant. In the medium term, I expect that Janet Yellen will unleash an unprecedented amount of money at the markets, but the markets will not respond. The Chinese markets are an exact indicator of what I'm looking for in the New York markets, in particular, in the coming weeks. And as a long-term observation or thing that I'm looking for, I fully expect that the price of gold per ounce in dollars will be equal to or higher than the number of points on the Dow Stock Market Index. In other words, I expect the price of gold to go much higher than it is now, and I expect the Dow to go much lower than it is right now, so that the price of ounce per gold is higher than the number of points on the Dow Stock Exchange or Dow Stock Index. So, what does all this mean? What are we supposed to do with all this information? Well, I have a question for you. Are you ready? Are you prepared for a greater than 2008 stock market crash? Are you ready for the point when the banking system loses control of the illusion of money that we've all been dreaming? I'm going to put up a link to an article about preparedness by Pastor Chuck Baldwin. I'm not going to take the time to repeat what he's written down. It would be extremely wise for you to read that article and put into effect what is written down there. I've gotten a lot of emails lately about the price of gold and silver. Is this a good time to buy? And I always respond by saying yes, but only after you've taken care of your immediate needs. Gold and silver only do one thing. They cannot add to your health. They cannot add to your sense of well-being spiritually. They only do one thing, and that is preserve your purchasing power or preserve the effect of your labor. That's it. The US dollar's days eventually are going to be numbered. It will be the last major currency on the planet to crash, but when it crashes, it will crash the hardest. So please, take care of your immediate needs, then get gold and silver. Like I said, I expect the price to decline, but that's not the point. The point is the availability of physical gold and silver, not electronic digits on some computer network, not physical gold and silver in somebody else's vault, okay? Real metal in your hands. If you don't hold it, you don't own it. That availability is drying up from all kinds of reports, which I'm reading all over the internet. So first, take care of your immediate needs, then take care of converting your paper promises, your electronic digits on the world's financial markets into something tangible. And that includes cash, by the way. So the bottom line is this: I hope you're ready. Everything is looking like a major crash is going to happen soon. If it doesn't happen this September, great. I am going to be elated. I have more time to prepare. But the point is, are you prepared? Not out of paranoia, but out of prudence. There's a huge difference between acting out of fact and acting out of fear. I'm not about fear, I'm about fact. I have nothing to sell you by doing this. I'm only letting you know what I'm doing and why I'm doing it. I will not give you financial advice. I will only point you in the right direction and let you decide what you need to decide. Thank you so much for your emails. Thank you so much for your donations. I can't believe how many people around the world are hungry for real, unbiased, spiritually rooted information about the whole issue, huge issue, about money. If you feel like doing so, or if you are led to do so, you can donate to the cause at newworldordertruth.org. That's NWOtruth.org. Go to the About tab and look at the PayPal Donate tab. So, in conclusion, I'd like to give you this verse. A prudent man foresees evil and hides himself, but the simple pass on and are punished. Don't be that guy. See trouble coming and react in a prudent way. So until next time, thank you so much for your generosity. Thank you for your time. I look forward to resuming work on Volume 2, and I have the feeling, unfortunately, that the film's release will be perfectly timed.